Hey, Amber.
They saw my tum-tum!
The moon landing didn't happen.
Are you actually gonna wear that?
Sorry, but like, ew.
Did she spray Pam on the food?
That ass, though.
You're lolcows. That's what you guys do.
People have asked me a lot about why I don't make my own videos or live stream anymore. They want to know why I haven't used the platform that's been handed to me to make money. And the main reason is because this community, even though a lot of you have been kind and supportive, has been and is very harmful and toxic mentally for me.
Hey folks, what's good? I'm Deets. I'm back from vacation. And today I have a GorlWorld topic for discussion. Today, we're going to be discussing the fact that Beck has maybe officially come back to YouTube. No, I'm not going to do a full reaction to their recent videos. Other reaction channels have already covered them quite well. But I do have some thoughts that I wanted to share with you. Thoughts that, I don't know, I guess I didn't even realize I felt so intensely about. So I think you should just sit back and get ready for a whole lot of passion. All right, let's dive in. Here on this channel, I've mostly been talking about GorlWorld kind of as a whole. And definitely plus some of the lore surrounding the main characters. And of course, we always have fun with the girl games. But I think that Beck uploading kind of presents an interesting topic of discussion, as their role as a side character in GorlWorld, past, present, and future, was very truly impactful in the Amberverse for a very long time. So I thought for this video that I would try out a slightly different, maybe a little less scripted and a little less formal video format, where I could just kind of chat about whatever's on my mind.
No. We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
Coming back from vacation, I was sitting on a bus, and then on another bus, and then on a plane, and then on another plane. And I was heading back to, my own version of this shared reality we're living in. And I had a lot of time to think. First, I thought about my vacation, because it was a great vacation. But as the vacation bubble disintegrated, as it always does, whether I wanted to or not, I started thinking about the present state of GorlWorld. It's been really messy lately, almost like the girls have just, they're like reaching this breaking point. They've behaved so badly for so long that their lies, they're just crumbling around them. There's this weird tension in the air. It's like this weird game of internet chicken or something. Amber's been trolling us in her videos. That last one she made, just one big troll.
Oh my god. In today's video, January 13th, with this dress, it's gonna be a what I ate today video, all about food. And then in the other video that I'm filming today is just an all-day vlog, which I'll be wearing this. If I'm fine with that, then there's no reason to judge me for it. You judging me is just wasting your time. So what's really the point in that, huh?
She's lashing out reaction channels and lying so hard that she seems to be confusing herself. All of a sudden, Emily's working in her marketing manager or something, and all these forms of revenue have popped up when nothing was happening before. Zachary Michael, finally got mad at Amber with very good reason. And I don't know, but damn, I wasn't expecting it. Even Alexis made a third return to YouTube and has this plan to take down Amber Lynn in her flaming ball of dumpster fire friendship that she created. I don't know, it's wild. I can't even keep up with Chantal these days. I see this bleak video title after bleak video title scroll by on my homepage with whatever latest version of her dumpster fire that she's got going on. But I can't bring myself to watch those because I still have much more to watch in the Amberverse. And then I see a video by Kinda Good, Kinda Beck. And I was shocked. I really did not think that we would see the day that Beck made a return to YouTube. And to be honest, I was excited to hear what they had to say. I hit play and I listened. And then I listened again. It really made me think about who Beck has been in GorlWorld, and I don't know who they have the potential to become.
While I've grown as a person and have become more aware of the mistakes I've made in the past, it's become embarrassing to have ever been a part of Amber's life on and off YouTube.
I'd like to start off by saying that, yes, Beck was a side character. Was as in they no longer really truly are in the present day. They made it out of GorlWorld. Years ago, they entered GorlWorld with good intentions, hopeful in their quest to, I don't know, make sure this internet character was okay, I guess. You know, only to find themselves with a person that practically held them captive via narcissistic and financial abuse.
Whenever I talked about trying to get a job again, she would just guilt trip me and say, well, I need you here. I need you to help take care of me and to help me take care of the animals. She would just guilt trip me into not trying to find another job.
And yes, of course, there is that caveat, right? Did Beck do some things in the past that I don't and would never condone? Yes. I do think there have been some very fair criticisms of their behavior in the past. And I realize that there are a lot of people who might not be waiting with open arms for Beck's return to the internet. I get that. Even Beck brought it up pretty much immediately in their own video, like the very first one.
And I made mistakes. It wasn't the person I wanted to be or who I am now.
And while I did want to make sure to touch on that subject as a whole in general, it's not going to be the focus of this particular video. From what I saw in Amberlynn's videos during the Beck era, I personally think that Beck most likely never would have done most, if not all, of those things. You know, had they not been under Amber's thumb and lost themselves in a power play that they simply couldn't handle. Not to mention the fact that they had a misdiagnosis and were inappropriately being prescribed medications that left Beck in a self-described zombie-like state.
This is whenever I was on a depression medicine, a mood stabilizer, anxiety medicine. I was misdiagnosed with bipolar type 2. And in turn, it pretty much turned me into a zombie.
When I look at the person Beck was back then, I really do see someone who was truly lost. Someone that was emotionally abused.
She did keep me away from my family. And whenever I would go see my family, she would time me on when I had to be back. And if I wasn't back by that time, then it would be a fight for the rest of the night. And then the next time that I would try to leave to go see anybody else, she would guilt trip me and say things along the lines of I didn't care about her and that I cared more about everybody else other than her.
Financially manipulated.
I mean, whenever I would try to save up change, she would say things like, is that your funds for when you leave me? So I would even stop saving change to avoid that conflict with her.
And really just trying to make it through each and every day, one day at a time.
There were days that I couldn't get out of bed in the morning, leave the house, or take care of my basic needs.
Someone who was pushed past their breaking point and didn't know what to do about it. It's not an excuse, right, for some of the less than ideal behaviors that were displayed. But I don't know, once upon a time, I saw a person that had a very bright spirit. You know, a love of 90s fashion and TV. Someone that was a little bit silly and a whole lot of fun. And these positive attributes were slowly sucked out of them the longer they were with Amberlynn. So I think that for now, I'm willing to lean into forgiveness, knowing that Beck is taking accountability for those actions and making efforts to be a better person. Minnie? I have a corgi, people. She's all Korg, let me tell you. Come here. Thank you for telling me about the door outside closing. Do you want to tell tell our listeners about anything going on outside? You want to tell them about the car door that closed? What do you want to say? Go on, right into the microphone. No? Now you don't have anything to say? No more Borks? No? Okay. All right. Where was I? Okay. So, for now, I want to lean into forgiveness. That's where I was at. I saw Beck taking accountability for the actions in the past, right? I saw them making efforts to be a better person. Well, I didn't see it, but I heard them say that they were taking actions and making efforts to be better.
Healing has been a long and hard journey, but I'm proud of the progress I've made, no matter how my progress may look to someone on the outside.
It is a wild world that we are living in. And I, for one, would like to extend some grace to this human that lived through the plight of being Amberlynn's caretaker.
She would just guilt trip me and say, well, I need you here. I need you to help take care of me.
Being Amberlynn's unpaid employee.
In the end, me quitting my job wasn't about helping me. It was about controlling me and keeping me under her thumb.
Being Amberlynn's victim.
Narcissistic abusers can use that low self-esteem to convince you that your negative thoughts are true.
For several years. I think that Beck just barely made it out of that abusive relationship and has needed to heal deeply for a very long time. I think that they're still healing, in fact, right? But it seems to me like Beck might have really put in some of the work to refine themselves, at least in part, once again. And I do think that there are some people out there that can learn from their past and to make changes for the better. We're not used to seeing them here in GorlWorld. But I think we need to remember that they do exist, and I think that Beck could be one of those people. Now, I say all of this because of what I heard in Beck's most recent uploads. I am generally best at reading people visually. I'm pretty good at seeing people's eyes and their intentions behind them. But I didn't get that in this video or the second one either. But there were a few things that did catch my attention in Beck's voice. I heard a new presence in Beck's voice, I guess. I don't know the best word for it, but it was something that came from a place of strength. And it felt more authentic and more confident than I'd maybe ever heard in their voice before. And while I do realize that they are still going through it and through financial troubles, still healing mentally from the narcissistic abuse that they lived through. From my point of view, it was really good to hear from Beck and to feel like they're at least starting to move on from that husk of a human being that Amber had turned them into. Instead, we got to see and hear about some of Beck's passions, current day. Some of their drawings, the speed drawings that were on screen. As a fellow artist, it always makes me just so happy to see someone making art. And not the type of art that comes from, a dark, tormented place. This felt much more positive, something they were proud of, and something they were happy to be doing. We also got to hear some personal stories from Beck, right? About growing up queer in Appalachia, which, that was really difficult to hear, of course, but I don't know, it also presented this really vulnerable side of Beck that I hope was received well across GorlWorld. Opening up to an audience as big as Beck has. It had to have taken a lot of courage. And I think that this community could use a bit of authenticity like that a whole lot more often. Okay, let me get to the next topic in this discussion, because I wanted to make this video today to discuss what Beck could potentially offer this community in the future, and how maybe, just maybe, the community could offer Beck some further healing in return. And look, I know how that sounds. Like, come on, Deets. This is the internet. You know, even more, this is GorlWorld. How could this toxic virtual space possibly become a place of healing? And, you know, I'm not going to lie, it might not be. But for just like one short moment, indulge me on this. Imagine this scenario with me, okay? Because I do think that there is a chance, a small one, but a chance nonetheless, that it could become a reality.
Picture it.
Beck decides they do want to start creating content regularly again. And that content is not, as they stated, solely based on becoming an Amberlynn Reid reaction channel. Instead, it follows suit on the precedent that Beck has already set, right? They create content about their life, their passions, their experiences, and maybe even their healing process, both past and present. Beck already started to touch on how narcissistic abuse affects its victims, both in the moment and in the long term.
I'd like to talk a little now about the long-term effects of narcissistic abuse and the way it personally affected me over the years. For me, my self-confidence and worth was damaged more than anything. While I've had abusers be mean and cruel, no one could hurt me quite like I've hurt myself.
And I personally believe that if Beck could expand upon that and not have it negatively affect their mental health, that it could be really helpful to some people in this community. For a lot of people, in fact.
Finally, leaving that kind of relationship after years of exploitation and mental gymnastics left me feeling trapped in a cycle of hopelessness and worthlessness.
People that are currently victims in narcissistic relationships and don't even realize it might be able to benefit from hearing Beck's experiences.
I thought I deserved all the horrible things being done to me and said about me.
You know, it could in turn open some eyes to a similar reality for other people. Other people that might be listening might not be victims themselves, but, you know, maybe they have a close friend or a family member going through it. And hearing about Beck's experiences could really help them to recognize the symptoms and then inspire support systems for those people.
It took a lot of time, self-reflection, and having friends and family who saw better in me, who never gave up on me to build my confidence up to where it is today.
And look, I know this one's a stretch, a big one, but narcissists themselves maybe just might even recognize the impact that their behavior is having on people around them. And I know that that's probably very unlikely, of course, but I'm trying to lay out a best case scenario here, okay? So just roll with it for a minute. I mean, I have seen comments before. I think in reaction channels, I don't have an example to share with you right now, but I have seen people in the comment section saying that because of Amberlynn Reid, they recognize the fact that they are narcissists themselves and have taken action in their own lives to stop some of their behaviors. So I don't know. I think that even if we don't get that one and we just get the first two, those are two great reasons for Beck to share their side of the story. I know that Beck is not a therapist, and I do not think they should try to be. Nor do they need to become some educational channel or, you know, pretend to be anyone that they're not. I don't think that would be good for anybody. I'm simply suggesting that by sharing their own experiences of being a victim of narcissistic abuse and their road to healing afterwards, that they could reach a whole bunch of people that, whether they realize it or not, could really and truly benefit from listening. And that listening could then turn into thinking, and those thoughts then could potentially turn into positive action.
In my description, I'm going to link an article I found that has a lot of really good information, warning signs, a helpline, and how to break the cycles like these.
There could just be one person that realizes that they too are experiencing something similar, but it took hearing it from someone else that has already been through it in the past and, came out the other side to really open their eyes to their own situation.
A lot of people know of me from that time in my life, and I have had to accept that and keep moving forward.
Conversely, in sharing their side of the story, I could see a world in which, maybe it's cathartic for Beck too. Think about it. For the most part, we in GorlWorld have really only ever gotten the story about Beck and Amberlynn from Amberlynn. And yeah, sure, there have been some moments from Beck, right? For instance, when they went and did the Q&A on Karina Kaboom's channel. But that really just only scratched the surface. And I think that the true learning for us could come from understanding the day-to-day moments that shaped Beck's reality, right? Beck's decisions or inability to make decisions at all. Hearing how Amber held power over Beck and the types of manipulation that she used and the ways in which she made sure it stayed that way.
Saying, if that makes me the bad guy, is so obviously manipulative. You're framing what you did to me in this positive light so that it looks like your intentions were good when they weren't.
People who have mastered their own forms of manipulation get so good at it that their victims are blind to it.
You did a lot of bad. You said you'd do things different now, but you haven't taken any accountability. I feel like the only thing you would change is doing the exact same things in a way that would have made you look even better.
All of this being said, I also don't think Beck's channel should solely focus on their relationship with Amberlynn and the subsequent mental and physical health journey. And it could also get stale really quickly. So it really is not what I'm trying to say here. But I do think that maybe it could just be part of a whole, right? It's a series within other types of content that they create. And alongside telling their audience about those experiences, there's a potential for a whole lot more kinds of content as well, right? Beck already mentioned the potential of creating content surrounding their interest in ghosts and ghost hunting. I mean, there's a real passion there. And I really think that people would love to watch that. I don't know, maybe there's something else too. It doesn't need to be ghosts, but as long as it's authentic to who Beck is now and not the version of them that Amber shaped years ago. That's what matters. Because in my opinion, whether Beck realizes it or not, a lot of this community feels connected to them. Not only do we have this kind of oddly shared history, be it as a side character, a reaction channel, or, a viewer from afar, this community is invested. We're invested, sure, in the drama, in the storyline, and also in the outcome. Beck has been a part of that story for years at this point. There's also just something about Beck that draws me in, and I would sit and listen to Beck tell stories for hours. And going back to Alexis, who I mentioned at the beginning of this, Alexis doesn't have that. Sure, I would listen to whatever Alexis has to say in her videos, but I don't feel the same way towards her. There's just no real connection there. To be honest, in some ways, Alexis kind of feels like an actually made up character that Amberlynn created to add to the drama of it all. I don't know, that's weird, but Alexis chose her path, and Beck did not. Beck came into GorlWorld with good intentions and a backwards hat.
You're probably right.
I ain't saying nothing.
And I think, and I hope, that if Beck could really start creating content that makes Beck happy, that they'll start to create a whole new relationship with this community, the one that's already here and mostly ready to reconnect. Sure, there are definitely going to be some people who, won't be maybe as open-minded or, won't offer the same amount of grace that I'm trying to extend.
My goal after the breakup was to move on as an individual and separate myself from what happened in the past. But when that audience consists mainly of people who have heard of me from Amber's videos, separating the two while still existing online became impossible.
But I do think that there's more of us out here than Beck thinks. And shoot, I don't know. Beck might even form a whole new relationship with social media in general. And I do realize that content creation is not for everyone. But Beck is the one that uploaded some videos to their own channel and already has a pretty huge platform of subscribers, over 80K at this point. So I don't know. I think it would be worth finding out. And at the very least, I do think that it would be a shame not to try, and be able to find their own footing somewhere just outside of and maybe around the corner from GorlWorld, with perhaps just a touch of sharing about their past mixed in. For years, we have been fed a narrative that we don't even believe. But all we have been able to do is speculate about the truth. Beck is one of the only ones that can shed some light on reality. And that holds a lot of power. And it also brings me to today's reminder. Today's reminder. When you walk away from an internet villain, you also create the opportunity to walk away from their corner of the internet. And maybe become the hero of your own story.
Sometimes you have to be your own kind of hero.
I will link Beck's channel in the description below. If you haven't seen their latest uploads, I highly recommend that you head on over there, give them a watch. Beck has a lot to say and, I think, a lot to offer. And if you would, hit subscribe, like, leave a comment, to help me out with the algorithm. If you're not sure what to say, go ahead and leave me a ghost emoji in honor of Beck's potential future content. And if you'd like to support this channel even more than that, you can now become a channel member. I've even just started making some members-only content. The first upload went up last week. I'll leave another video or two here on screen if you want to catch another one right now. And otherwise, thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
You don't even know. Oh, wait. She just told the tea.